I want to all of us here to stand for no one or the medical and that will recruit somebody to fast in their place for at least one day. I started my fast today, which means I had breakfast, but I won't eat again till 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, which is when I finish my breakfast today. So that'll be 24 hours. So I got a list of speakers here. First I want to say thank you for being here. This is part of the media, the Women's Muslim, what is it now? The Women's Muslim Coalition. So at least we have one media here. And so I just want to say this is billed as a media event, as a press conference, and it is outrageous that we don't have the major media networks, right? I gave them all a call today. They said, "Oh yeah, we'll check. It's on our calendar. We'll see if we're going to come." But this just let me make a comparison here. You know, if 50 children were killed in the United States in a school shooting, it would be on the front page of the newspaper every day until the person who did this was behind bars and the people who gave that person weapons are behind bars. How many kids have been killed or injured in Gaza as we speak? Anybody know? 50,000. 50,000. And the fact that the media is not here to talk about 50,000 or to cover an event talking about the killing or injury of 50,000 innocent children is outrageous. I think people would agree. So we're supposed to start this off with a prayer, but the person who was going to give the prayer, is here. Thank you. And so let me just say, one of the reasons I'm fasting is because I consider fasting to be like a prayer. And I believe in prayers can do good. And so that's one of the reasons I'm doing it. You know, I'll talk more about this later, but yes. Aaron, can you just introduce yourself and do the prayer for us?
Yeah, hello. My name is Pastor Darren Utley. I am the pastor at First Presbyterian Church of Racine. Happy to be here with you all today. Jim is right. You know, in my tradition, fasting is a way to kind of try to shut out everything else in the world and focus your heart and intention on whatever you want to focus your heart and intention on. So as we pray, let's remember, all of us here, we're here because our hearts and intentions are against genocide. We're here because we know that we are connected with all of humanity by the spirit and life that we have.
I got it.
So let us just focus together, close our eyes. Breathe alongside those next to you. Great Spirit that unites all of us here in this place and all of creation. We have a spirit of love and justice inside of us. When we see people starving, we see people being bombed and killed, we see hate and evil, our very selves rejected. Unite us together in our sense of love and justice. Well up in us a spirit of courage, because we must stop. We must stop this genocide.
Yeah, let's get. Derek a hand for that, leading us in the prayer, and Darren a hand for leading us in the prayer, and hey, Angela, you're here too. Cool. You can say a few words too eventually, okay? Okay, great. So, just to build on what you said, Pastor Darren, Reverend Darren, I just want to say that I think we're compelled here. We're here because we're compelled by our conscience. I think that's consistent with what you said. So maybe we can say it together in a chant. I'm compelled by my conscience. Say it with me. I'm compelled by my conscience to speak out against genocide.
To speak out against genocide.
I'm compelled by my conscience.
I'm compelled by my conscience
to speak out against genocide.
to speak out against genocide.
I'm compelled by my conscience
I'm compelled by my conscience
to speak out against a government that supports genocide.
to speak out against a government that supports genocide.
I'm compelled by my conscience
I'm compelled by my conscience
to speak out against the government that supports genocide.
to speak out against the government that supports genocide.
Ceasefire now.
Ceasefire now!
Ceasefire now.
Ceasefire now!
Food, not bombs.
Food, not bombs!
End the genocide.
End the genocide!
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to have Mark speak because this was started by Veterans for Peace nationally. I first heard about this at a meeting of Wisconsin Christians for Justice in Palestine. They said, let's do a fast. But then it turned out that there's a fast going on right now, 40 days. Some people are well into it. It started in May. It's run by the Veterans for Peace. They're outside the United Nations building. And this, what we're doing today is in solidarity with what they're doing. So Mark, is this loud enough? You want me to turn it up? Can you hear?
No, it's good. You're good.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. I'm a Vietnam veteran. I was in Vietnam in 1968 and got my head blown off, laid out on a mountain for 5 days before they could get to me, and I got a horrible infection that lasted about 30 years. I've had experience in war. I knew that when I went over there, I was a corpsman with the Marines. That it's the same as a medic. So I was the one that went to them when they got wounded and tried to stop their bleeding and keep them breathing long enough to be medevaced. I surprised myself when I arrived in Vietnam when they picked me up at the airport. They said they were going to take me to the barracks and give me my M16 when we get there, and I said, I hadn't practiced this at all. It just came out of my mouth. Oh no, I'm not going to be killing anybody over here. I want to be stopping their bleeding and keep them breathing, but I'm not going to be doing any killing. And I was really pleasantly surprised that my squad leader seemed to be proud of me. What we're doing here today is building our conscience, and not just building it, but coming together. This is the beginning of I believe, a 40-day event, and I just think it's a beautiful idea to start with yourself. Know yourself, know what you believe in, what you believe is right, and what is wrong, and then act on it. I've been trying to live my life that way for the last 57 years. After coming back from Vietnam, I've spent, I don't know how many years trying to find joy. It is a very hard thing to find when you've seen what I've seen. Anyway, I'm very proud of all of you. Thank you for coming. Let's have an effect, people.
That's right.
All right.
Mark has been a leader, and that's for peace here in Milwaukee and at the national level too. He's really been an inspiration to all of the peace activists in Milwaukee. So thank you, Mark. In fact, turn it down a little bit. Mark is going to go up to Senator Johnson's office with me and hand in a resolution asking that Senator Johnson signs, asking that the border be open to sufficient humanitarian aid and be distributed properly. A number of Democrats already signed on to this, almost all the Senate Democrats. Of course, they don't say anything about stopping the arms, which has to be done. We're going to give this resolution and ask Senator Johnson to sign on to it and to stop sending arms to Israel. So the next speaker, and by the way, what our demands are the same as the demands that the National Veterans for Peace are, which is open up the borders to sufficient aid and have it distributed by the UN and stop sending arms to Israel. So can we say this chant? Stop arming Israel.
Stop arming Israel.
Stop arming Israel.
Stop arming Israel.
Thank you. The next up is Heba Mohammed. Then you can. I dropped this. Oh, sorry. Heba.
Right here, Jim.
Yeah. So Heba's been a leader in Milwaukee for Palestine. She's Palestinian roots, right? And she's a great leader, inspired many of us in many demonstrations. Thank you, Heba.
Thank you. Thank you to Peace Action and Vets for Peace for hosting us today, and for all of you for making it out here. As Jim said, my name is Heba Mohammed, and I am an organizer with Milwaukee for Palestine. We are a Palestinian-led grassroots organization uplifting the voices of Palestinians and working to end the oppression of people everywhere. I stand before you today on the first day of Eid al-Adha with nothing to celebrate. Today marks 609 days of genocide and over 90 days of a complete blockade on food, water, medicine, and other essentials to Gaza. We are witnessing war crimes and crimes against humanity every single day, funded by our tax dollars and coordinated with our U.S. government. The Zionist entity has made its plans crystal clear to ethnically cleanse Palestine of Palestinians. Their genocidal intent has been proudly stated by Zionist leaders and followers alike. These are facts. It is also a fact that this has been the Zionist agenda from its inception in the 19th century. I'll say that again, from its inception in the 19th century. This is an example. There are examples after examples of Zionists working to execute their depraved agenda. Today also marks 58 years since the Naksa, or the setback, in Palestinian history. During this period, Palestinians were slaughtered yet again and displaced yet again by Zionists, and more of our land stolen yet again. This led to at least 400,000 new Palestinian refugees, of which those refugees included my family, who were facing expulsion for the second time due to the crimes of the Naksa. What we're seeing today is an acceleration of Zionist policies. While their goals have been the same as they have been since day one, the escalated tactics and timeline, coupled with the live-streamed nature of this genocide, compel us to act with escalated tactics in response to the U.S. Zionist genocide of Palestinians. I applaud the hunger strikers participating in this action to force attention on the situation in Gaza. I also applaud the crew aboard the Medellin, commonly referred to as the Gaza Freedom Flotilla. This is a humanitarian aid ship heading to Gaza as we speak right now to deliver aid to Palestinians. They have asked the world to keep our eyes on them, to prevent an attack like the most recent one just last month, or like the attack that happened 10 years ago that killed several volunteers aboard that humanitarian aid ship going to Gaza. while others are escalating their tactics in response to this genocide, we have to ask ourselves, what are we doing in Milwaukee? What are we doing while war profiteers count their war profits from our backyard, right here in Milwaukee? Or broadly, what are we doing while they're doing this from the belly of the beast where we all live? What are we doing to force the US government to impose an arms embargo against the Zionist entity? Milwaukee for Palestine has a number of actions you can participate in regularly to ensure that we are doing our part from Milwaukee to stop this genocide and to liberate Palestine once and for all. I encourage you to take time to visit our social media, which is Milwaukee, the number 4, Palestine, on both Instagram and Facebook, to learn about our Disarm Durko campaign, targeting Durko Aerospace. They are a local war profiteer with the sole and exclusive contract to maintain the engine system for the Zionist Air Force. That is a direct pipeline from Milwaukee to the Zionists to allow them to bomb Palestinians and other countries in the Arab world. Today in particular, you will also find information about a petition you can sign as a member of the Milwaukee community to reject pinkwashing, which has long been used to cover up and excuse the crimes of Zionists at the expense of the Palestinian and queer communities here and in Palestine. And during Pride Month in particular, and on Nexa Day, please take the time to sign that petition. We will also send it out on our email list if you're a part of that. I implore all of us that we cannot take our foot off the gas. The time to double down in our collective action is right now, to stop the genocide, to end weapon sales, to end the occupation, and to free Palestine once and for all.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here.
Free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sarah. Yeah, it's here. Have a inspirational. Yeah, and this, you talked about it, maybe everybody doesn't know about it. This happens to be a very important holiday for Muslims, right? Yesterday they were all required to fast, and I think one of the themes of this holiday is you have to make sacrifices in order to do the right thing sometimes. Isn't that one of the things? And so we are sacrificing our time, our food, hopefully our money as we contribute to causes, and some of us will hopefully get involved in direct action, civil disobedience. We have to escalate because things are desperate as we speak, right? And so some of us at some point will be doing maybe sit-ins, maybe die-ins, whatever it takes, non-violent of course, whatever it takes to build a mass movement to stop this genocide.
That's right.
So, all right. So next up we have, and so this is a coalition of Christians, of Muslims, of the Jewish Voice for Peace. So Leah, you want to come and talk to us about how Jewish Voice for Peace plays a role in stopping the genocide here, and whatever, and why you're there.
Hi, my name is Liat. I'm here as a Jew and a member of Jewish Voice for Peace Milwaukee. And I'm here to invite the wider Milwaukee community, including the Jewish community, to commit to embody your values. Every life is precious. Every human being deserves food, water, and shelter. And this is an invitation to join us in amplifying your commitments to your values with the fast. A fast raises visibility for what is being denied to people like you and me in Gaza. It shows others at your work, home, and in the community that you cannot and will not digest the horrors of what the Israeli government, with full support from the US, is doing in Gaza and Palestine. So again, I invite you to join this nationwide fast to refuse to digest the destruction of the precious singular lives of people trying to live in their homes, walk down the street, and take their kids to the sea. On the day or days you fast, donate money you would have spent on groceries, coffee, a meal, or a beer to the Middle East Children's Alliance or Gaza Soup Kitchen. Use the days you fast to commit to getting people to sign a petition demanding aid be let in and stop arming Israel. Ask a friend or coworker to sponsor your fast day. Donate money as a way to support your resolve and strengthen you when you may get hungry. And use this invitation to fast and embody your values by committing to make phone calls or send emails every single day of the week that you fast, the month that you fast, every day to elected officials demanding they stop arming Israel. Lastly, use your time fasting as a spiritual portal to recommit to live your values, to light a candle and say the names of the 50,000 children killed and injured since October 2023 in Gaza. So, stand here as a Jew and part of the Jewish Voice for Peace Milwaukee group. Thanks.
Thank you. Your inspirational Jewish Voice for Peace is inspirational. You brought something up that I don't think was brought up before you said it. We should be calling frequently our congresspeople, our senators, 202-224-3121. We have a handout for everybody, and it has the number on that, and it has our demands. And again, our demands are let humanitarian aid in, let it be organized by the United Nations, and stop arming Israel. That's our demands. And so maybe somebody can help pass out that leaflet, and it has where you can sign up. You don't have to be here to sign up to fast. As Leah pointed out, get your friends to fast. All we're asking is one day of fast before June 30th, and the month of June. Okay. Next up, shows the breadth of our coalition. We have Mary Krolikowski for Catholics for Peace and Justice, telling us how she feels about this. Thank you, Mary.
Good morning, and thank you for being here. Since I'm not a usual speaker, I'm going to have to use a few notes. I wish there were an official representative of the Catholic Church to speak, but we will work on that, and we hope that will come about for future gatherings. Meanwhile, I thank this group for the opportunity to represent Catholics for Peace and Justice's position based on our Catholic teaching. I want to recall how Genesis describes God's creation of humankind and pronounces this creation very good. How deeply God was offended when one brother, Cain, killed his brother, Abel. Our Catholic social teaching insists all human beings have a right to life, not only survival, but to full human development, because all are created in God's image. That is not what we see playing out in Palestine today. The Catechism of the Catholic Church states, and I quote, "Every act of war directed to the indiscriminate destruction of whole cities or vast areas with their inhabitants is a crime against God and man, which merits firm and unequivocal condemnation." End quote. From the Catechism of the Catholic Church, number 2314.
Thank you. That's right.
Then I continue again from the Hebrew Scriptures, the prophet Joel, and I quote, "Blow the trumpet in Zion, proclaim a fast, call an assembly, gather the people." End quote. The reason for the fast is to repent for the non-observance of God's law, for breaking God's law, which has brought about calamity. We see calamity in our day. To repent means turning around 180 degrees, doing things differently, going a different direction. We in the United States, are called to fast, to repent of the atrocities inflicted every day on the people of Gaza. We, the people of the United States, are complicit by furnishing arms used to reduce population centers to rubble and to indiscriminately wound and kill their inhabitants. We, the people of the United States, are complicit in the starvation of the people of Gaza by pulling funding from aid organizations designed to provide food and medicine. Therefore, let us call a fast. Let us deepen our understandings of our complicity. Let us beg the God of Israel and the people of Palestine for forgiveness. Let us fast in solidarity with the starving people of Gaza, the blameless and defenseless. Let us fast in solidarity with peace seekers all over the world who understand that all are connected in a common humanity, which the God of Israel loves unconditionally and in its entirety. May we do likewise.
It was powerful, Mary, and I'm so glad you're here, Catholics for Peace and Justice. I wish the bishop was here, right? The bishop should be here saying the same thing. In fact, Pope Francis said Israel should be investigated for genocide. So he was one of the best in telling it like it was. So thank you. Angela, I'm going to ask you to speak now, if you don't mind. Angela, she's from Black Leaders Organizing for the Community, is that correct? Yep. Yeah, so why don't you come up here and say a few words.
I don't want to take too much time. I just want to say, first of all, thank everyone for being here. And when I first learned of this fast, like so many of us, we immediately thought about folks that are being starved in Gaza. And I commit to fasting at least 2 days in the month of June and asking my friends to do the same like we have been called to do. And may the time that we are fasting in these limited times remind us of what folks are dealing with in Gaza. 40 days is a long fast for some folks, but we know that Palestinians have been forcibly starved for a lot longer. And so it's important for us just to get the smallest glimpse and experience the unfathomable, unconscionable war crimes that are being committed through our tax dollars. And it's a moment for deep reflection. I appreciate the theme today being about our consciousness and our morals, because I think sometimes, unfortunately, people don't know how to speak out. They're afraid. But we here today are not afraid. And we know that there's more people that can continue to join with us. And it's important for us to make sure if we are fasting, we are educating people why we are fasting. If other folks can't join us, we are talking about it. We are committing our dollars. There's a lot of identities here from all different walks of life. But this is a moment where we share privilege, where we can use our voices no matter where we are in our society based off of our values and identities. This is a rare point where so many of us have privilege and we can stand together. And I want to thank you and thank everyone for committing and recommitting to the fight, because no matter how long it takes, we are going to continue to fight for justice until there is a free Palestine. Thank you.
Angela, thank you very much. I appreciate your pointing out this is a matter of conscience. We're compelled by our conscience to speak out against genocide. Let's say, we're compelled by our conscience to speak out against genocide. So, yeah, thanks for getting some of your friends and contacts to fast too. That's what we can do, and build the movement. A movement can win. So next up, we have Mary Devitt. She's been a faster for quite a while now, and she's going to say a few words. I think she has a poem that she, oh no, she wanted to talk about, last band. Yeah, Mary, you wanted to talk about your fasting experience, right? I love the shirt you're wearing too, Stop Israel's Genocide.
Designed by Jim.
Yeah. It's a simple message.
It's more than dress. And you didn't compliment me on my name tag, but I suggest that that's one way of starting conversations if you are participating in the fast. I thought about making buttons. I didn't have the budget or the time. We're the machine, and my friend who has one is in Canada. So, think about a name tag, and it will start some conversations. So, just about a year ago, I began a weekly fast on Thursdays for Gaza, and I was following the leadership of Jewish Fast for Gaza, which has been going on since 2009. Last fall, I published a Substack post discussing why I would do this crazy thing, and the thoughts there, which are excerpted here, are relevant today as I step up the frequency of my fasting. I am not fasting for congratulations, to signal virtue, or with great hopes of changing the course of the genocide we are witnessing. Stunned by the hideous live streaming of a calamity, that's the second calamity in 2 speakers here. We're starting to recycle our language, right? Horror, unfathomable, etc. But anyway, the calamity beyond imagination, a nightmare production we can't turn off. I am escalating my fast as part of a growing group of Palestinian supporters, some of whom are here. All of us are making this embodied gesture, as Liat was speaking of. In fasting, we are reminding our bodies and ourselves of Palestinian suffering, keeping genocide and starvation top of mind and of stomachs. In my case, fast days entail a period of extremely mild hunger, broken to eat in the evenings, something few in Gaza are able to do. I am learning a micro lesson from this infinitesimal symbolic simulation about the effects on the body and the mind of temporary, time-bound, and self-imposed food insecurity. A glimmer of what it must be like to live with the starvation being imposed in Gaza. I find that hunger asserts itself in my body after about 16 hours, in an uncomfortable gnawing sensation and an audible complaint from my stomach. I have a bit less energy and some mental fogginess, although I'm pretty foggy most days. I'm also aware of a sense of deprivation as others around me eat. And I experience my own will and its struggles, as I am surrounded by food that I could easily decide to eat, or even forget my fasting commitment and absentmindedly pop into my mouth. Palestinians in Gaza can't forget not to eat, and they don't decide not to eat. Though some hold back so that others may eat at least the minimal crumbs needed to sustain life for another day, another hour even. In fasting, I hold in my mind's eye the heartbreaking images that too many, and apparently not enough of us, have seen, of emaciated skeletal babies, of children and adults reduced to bony forms, too malnourished to move. I fast in grief and in anger for the horror we haven't been able to stop happening to our fellow human beings. Obviously, my minuscule gesture won't change their state, but it reinforces my resolve and my connection to their humanity. In whatever manner we observe this fast, and I've been saying to people, you could treat it like Lent, you could give up something that's important to you, don't get that latte or whatever. If it's not in your body or in your health situation or in your life circumstances to fast for 40 days. I was kind of horrified when Democracy Now! Interviewed the people who are standing outside the UN in the New York contingent of this nationwide, and in fact now they're saying international fast. Amy Goodman called it a hunger strike, and I think that's kind of terrifying to a lot of us. We don't really want to see ourselves carried out in ambulances, and maybe we don't have room in our lives to do that right now. But there is room for everybody to fast however you can. If it's not in your body to do it, you can pray if you do that, you can scream, you can meditate, you can have a discussion with some friends and family. And like I said, you can do Lent, you can do Ramadan, you can do whatever you need to do, whatever works in your life. But as we do these things, we commit also to ongoing struggle, and as other people have said, I'm not sure I'm saying anything new, by engaging in these actions and more, like joining a protest, a vigil, or other solidarity action, demanding that elected leaders stop sending weapons to Israel and enact an arms embargo now, only 20 months too late. Demanding that the U.S. lead the international community in providing immediate humanitarian assistance at a meaningful level in proportion to the emergency of starvation and under the experienced and proven auspices of the United Nations. You could also be donating the money that, I think several people have noted this before, but you might give to UNRWA, who is still operating. They can't operate food banks right now because no food is coming in. They are still providing some assistance to people on the ground in Gaza. As was said, the Middle East Children's Alliance, Palestinian Children's Relief Fund, UNICEF, or Doctors Without Borders, because at this point starvation is a medical problem. You can't just treat it with food. you can use your voice to demand an end to Israel's genocide, occupation, and colonization. Free Palestine.
Thank you, Mary. You might have noticed I'm not Jim Carpenter. He and Mark have gone inside to their appointment with Ron Johnson's office, so I will be MC until their return. They're planning to report back once they come back, so please stick around for that. But it looks like next on the list here I have Pam Richard of Peace Action to speak. Thank you, Pam. Welcome.
I didn't really prepare anything, but I want to talk about what happened in Boulder. And I have friends there who protest for Gaza and for Palestine, and it's been devastating for them. There's a lot of fear in the community, and none of us want any violence against anybody. And we hope that nothing like that would ever happen in Milwaukee. We don't want any killing of anybody or hurting or injuring. We believe in peace and love. And we also, we really feel for the hostages who have been taken prisoner. We don't believe in prisoners. I work against prisons myself here. So I don't think anybody should be taken a prisoner. And I agree for the people who died. I feel like many of them died because Israel bombed and starved them, and they didn't have any care for them. And maybe we even have more care. I do pray for the hostages. And so we have to remember everyone in this whole world when we think of peace and love. Thank you.
Okay, next up I have Carson of Code Pink. Let's give it up for Carson.
Good afternoon. My name is Carson. I'm a local organizer and a proud member of the Milwaukee chapter of Code Pink. Code Pink was built on striving for peace, and we're always trying to raise visibility around the occupation of Palestine and the genocide that was accelerated there over a year and a half ago now. Those who are complicit choose to look away and to ignore. Shame on them. We are choosing to fast to be a representation here locally, to use our ability to be seen by those who are complicit and show them that, an attack on Palestine is an attack here on us. To show they cannot look away, they will see us, and they will know what starving someone looks like. In December of 2023, some fellow organizers and I did a water-only hunger strike to raise awareness for Palestine, call for a permanent ceasefire, and fundraise for the PCRF. We went 28 days with no food and made ourselves visible to those around us as often as we could and spread the message. I will say for those fasting, days 3 to 5 are often the most difficult, and to stay strong during those days. It is deeply disturbing to watch someone starve, as I'm sure we all know, and it is why those complicit choose to look away. I say this as a reminder to stay loud, to stay visible, and to keep spreading the message of the atrocities and the literal war crimes Israel has been committing since its inception. But also to remind ourselves that what we are doing, what we are choosing to do, is not a choice for those in Gaza. Anyone who has been food insecure knows that not only the physical, but the mental toll of not knowing when you'll get food again. The resilience of Palestinians is truly unbreakable, and we are proud to stand in solidarity with them. I ask those who are unable to fast about how you will use the fuel you're giving your body to further the fight while those of us fasting may be slowed down. We all have a role to play, but we won't slow down, we won't grow complicit, and we won't stop until we have a free and liberated Palestine. Thank you.
Yeah, give it up again for Carson. We have one more speaker, but again, I'll just remind you all, if you're able to stay until Jim and Mark come back to do the report back, please do. We'll be here, stand for peace style with our signs. And we also want to make sure that if you didn't get the 2 note cards already, to write down your commitment to fasting. So you would write down how many days on one to give to Peace Action, and then keep the other one for yourselves. We have the note cards up here, and we're also going to distribute a little flyer after our final speaker here.
Yeah,
so
and be sure one of those cards has your name on it. And
yes.
You can make up a name if you don't want to be
That's right. What Mary is saying is if you want to commit to fasting but not add your name to it, you can make up a name, but they just want some name attached to it. Okay, it looks like our final speaker, and please forgive me if I don't pronounce your name correctly, Steve Watrous of the UN Association. Please, hello.
Hi, my name is Steve Watrous. I am the president of the local chapter of the United Nations Association, which is a grassroots group that supports the United Nations and its goals. I'm not speaking officially on their behalf because we're not part of the coalition. I also work with groups like the Friends Committee on National Legislation, and I want to share some information from them and some other things, the Interfaith Peace Working Group and some others. So probably the last speaker should give a rousing speech, but Jim asked me to give you some information, so here it goes. The Democracy Now! Is really a great way to get the latest news from what's going on over in Gaza. And so there was one yesterday when Kathy Kelly was fasting out in front of the UN building in New York spoke. And Jim said I should look up something called Uniting for Peace, which was mentioned by her. And so what it is, you know, we're looking for ways to have some impact on this whole thing. Everything else we've tried so far hasn't worked, right? So let's think of some new things. So here's one of them. Uniting for Peace was an action taken by the General Assembly of the United Nations as a way to override the Security Council veto. As you know, just the other day, there was, a unanimous vote in the Security Council to have a ceasefire in Gaza, with one exception, us, the United States, sadly. How to override that? So this Uniting for Peace was concocted back during the Korean War, when the United States and others sought a way to get around the Soviet Union veto of going into Korea. It wasn't actually used then. It was first used in the Suez Canal crisis, when Egypt tried to exert its sovereignty over a canal that ran through its own country, and some other countries objected, including France and Britain, who have veto power, also Israel. And so it's not only passing resolutions, but they actually established a military peacekeeping force to send in to help on the process of winding down that war. So they actually sent troops to the border between Egypt and Israel to, facilitate the orderly withdrawal of Israel troops. It's been revived a couple times since. It was not a one-time thing, but that was the most notable. Maybe it could be done again. Kathy Kelly called for that to happen. This is really for something in other countries to bother their own governments to do, because it's to override our government. So that's not so much for us. But it's a thought, it's an idea. So UNRWA was mentioned. United Nations, obviously, and us at the UNA favor reviving UNRWA, which was cut off from aid by the US about a year or so ago. And let me tell you its full name, since I'm giving information here. It's the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian Refugees in the Near East. It's not only in Gaza, it's not only in the West Bank, but it's the wider diaspora, to Jordan and such. Also, you should know we don't have a permanent ambassador to the UN because, dysfunction in our own government here. But the name is Dorothy Shea. She was the one who cast the veto. So a little bit of up-to-date information from the Friends Committee on National Legislation, which is a Quaker lobbying group, and which met with Gwen Moore in person, sort of via Zoom the other day. More on that in a minute. So who's not delivering aid is UNRWA and some of the other UN agencies that have been working there, UNICEF, United Nations Food Program, World Food Program. What is there is the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, and this is quoting from Hassan El-Tayeb, who's an expert in the staff of the FCNL. He calls it dystopian. He says it's a US and Israeli-backed operation to bypass the UN. He called it the weaponization of aid. It militarizes aid against humanitarian principles, and they had just 4 sites set up, and it was only food, as somebody mentioned. Food is good. Some of the food you need water to cook with. Where's the water? Well, who knows? And stuff for babies, medical care, just, nothing there. Well, this looks suspicious. People skulking around in the dark and they shoot them. It's just people going to get food. It's just outrageous. One more outrage. When UNRWA was distributing the food, they did not stick to just 4 sites. They had very many sites all around Gaza as best they could. The World Food Program, United States function, is headed by Cindy McCain, who maybe you remember as the wife of former Senator McCain. She's been really good on this, so there's at least one good voice at high levels within the United Nations from the U.S. They talked on the National Zoom about a Jayapal resolution for giving immediate aid access, demanding immediate access for aid to Gaza. It has 92 co-sponsors in the House, including Gwen Moore, so kudos to her for that. They talked about in the Senate, there's a Welch resolution, and that it was good. That it was, and there are also various plans, mostly in Washington, not so much here, to push back against this phony aid agency. There are various approaches they're taking to try and sort of push it aside and reinvigorate the United Nations efforts. The FCNL folks have a campaign going of writing letters, handwritten letters to your congresspeople about Gaza. And so, well, worth a try. Like I say, everything else isn't worked quite yet. The meeting we had with Gwen Moore by Zoom, we did ask her about various pieces of legislation, and she did sign on to this one I just mentioned. But there was another one of the joint resolutions of disapproval. And she said, well, no, I'm not going to sign that one, it's just performative. And so Barbara Markoff, who maybe some of you know, a leader of the local FCNL group, asked on the national call, what about this thing about performative? And so let me just wrap up with this. Hassan El-Tayeb, who I've been quoting here, he said, well, it's not performative, and it's not just for show. He says, it's leadership. It's a way to give leadership. We need more leadership. We need more leadership from Gwen Moore. Definitely need more leadership from Tammy Baldwin. Give it a try with Ron Johnson. We're here giving it a shot. Send him some letters. Send him some love. Sometimes he's okay on these things. He wants to cut the budget. Here's a good way to start. Cut the budget of aid to Israel.
That's right.
Thanks.
Thank you, Steve. I've worked with Steve for many years. United Nations was founded supposedly to stop the scourge of war. It hasn't been very successful. Thanks for taking over. So me and Mark went to Senator Johnson's office. Somebody came down actually to speak with us, and we asked her to tell Senator Johnson to meet our demands. And our demands is open up the border so that enough food gets in. It's managed by the United Nations, and that we stop sending arms to Israel. Of course, she's just an aide. She won't say what Senator Johnson will do, but we asked her to give Senator Johnson a resolution that a number of Democrats signed on to, and it's about opening up the border and letting in humanitarian aid. No Republican has signed on to it, and so we thought we would at least ask that he sign on to this, and she's going to give it to him to sign on to. We also, thanks to Mary for bringing these, it's just horribly disturbing to look at them. These pictures of children who are starving. It's an absolute fright to look at these pictures. I don't know if you can see them from where you are. But it's extremely disturbing. Show a couple other there, Steve. Yeah, so they're of course she was disturbed by it. The aide, Ginger, was disturbed by it, and any human being with a conscience, with a soul, with a heart and a soul, would be disturbed by this. So hopefully, she said, fax them to me or scan them to me in an email, and she'll show them to Senator Johnson. Hopefully, this moves him. We'll see. But the other thing is, we did thank Senator Johnson for taking the right stance on the Ukraine war, which he said it should be a ceasefire, a permanent ceasefire, and there should be a negotiated settlement. It's the same thing we want in regards to the genocide. We want a ceasefire permanent now and a negotiated settlement with a free Palestine. So let's so he should do the same thing with Palestine that he's doing with Ukraine. He wants a free Ukraine. We want free Palestine. Free Palestine.
Free Palestine!
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine!
Food, not bombs.
Food, not bombs!
Stop the genocide.
Stop the genocide!
Okay, so then I just wanted to, I don't know if Steve touched on this, but first of all, I hope, well, let me just do a little, let's talk about the UN a little bit. It turns out, of course, the Security Council can't do anything because the United States vetoes what they want to do. There was just a vote, what is it, yesterday was the vote? 2 days ago, for a ceasefire. It was 14-1. 14 for the ceasefire, 1 vote against the ceasefire. Can anybody guess who voted against the ceasefire? United States, right. United States stops the Security Council from stopping the genocide. So it turns out that the General Assembly of the UN can actually do something to stop this. There can be an action called for Unite for Peace. Kathy Kelly talked about it. She's one of the fasters. She understands this Unite for Peace mechanism in the General Assembly, and we'll tell you more about it, but the point is the General Assembly, who is very much in favor of ending the genocide, can put pressure on Israel to stop it. They've done this in the past with other countries. Go to democracynow.org, read about it tomorrow, and yesterday's program all about what the United Nations General Assembly can do. So finally, let me just close by reading.
Stay tuned. Talk amongst yourselves.
Number of children that have been killed, and saying basically, if this doesn't lead the world to act, what can? They're talking about the horrendous number of deaths of children. So, I just, we're going to take a group photo. I want to thank everybody for coming. And what you should have done is gotten 2 cards, 2 index cards, everybody. Turn 1 index card in with your names, showing how many dates you're going to fast, and the other one you keep for yourself so you can keep your promise. And of course, get other people to fast along with you, if possible. And then there was this other piece of paper that was supposed to be distributed with background information on the genocide, and the 2 wonderful QR codes that Mary created. Here they are. Could everybody please take one of these and pass it? And you can use the QR codes to go to Facebook and register for the fast. You can go to the national website and register for the fast. And it gives background information about why sending weapons to Israel is immoral and illegal. So maybe we can close with a couple chants, and then we'll have a group photo. So give yourselves a round of applause for coming here today, for taking the time to come here today. Thank you, folks. Let's just...
We are compelled
by our conscience to speak out against genocide. We are compelled by our conscience to speak out against our government for supporting genocide. Food, not bombs. Ceasefire now. Stop the genocide. Free Palestine. Free Palestine. Thank you.
Feed the people, not the Pentagon.
Yeah, feed the people, not the Pentagon. Thank you, Don.
I do videos. I don't. Yeah. Gotta get those people in the.
Taking the picture, Jim?
No, I want to get in. I just want to.
Free Palestine!
Palestine.
Free Palestine.
Stop the war.
Stop the war.
Stop the war.
Stop the war.
Stop the starvation.
Stop the starvation.
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine.